Hey everyone, welcome to the Multiverse. Wes here, back again, and today we're going to be going over 15 Easter eggs and other hidden references that you probably didn't see while you were watching Avengers Infinity War. Now, before we get started with this video, I want to let you guys know that this will contain spoilers for Marvel's Infinity War, so if you have not yet seen the movie and you plan to, please click off the video and maybe come back whenever you actually watch the movie. Trust me guys, if you haven't seen Infinity War, I strongly recommend it. You will leave the theater in awe. Be sure to enter our monthly giveaway. For this month, we're going to be giving away 10 tickets to see the Han Solo movie. It's really easy to enter. All you have to do is like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on for a chance to win. Leave a comment on why you want to win with your Twitter handle attached, and I will pick the winner at the end of the month. Good luck. So the first Easter egg you probably missed was actually one that you probably saw whenever you were walking into the movie theater, and that is located on the poster. So if you look at the poster, you see 24 Avengers, and we know in the movie that the entire plot is about Thanos trying to get the Infinity Stones and wipe out half of the universe. Well, this poster has perfect balance, and that really was the focal point of this entire movie. At the beginning, we got Corvus Glaive, who stabbed Vision, and then at the end of the film, Vision stabbed Corvus Glaive. And not to mention, Thanos basically spent the entire film talking about perfect balance and why he wanted to wipe out half of the universe. He did it because he wanted to be at peace, and the only way that he could be at peace was to have balance. Now, if you take a closer look at the poster here, we have 24 Avengers on it, and only 12 of them made it out. So even the poster branding for the film had perfect balance as well. This is the type of attention to detail that really makes me appreciate Marvel Studios. Now, the next one is an Easter egg that actually takes shots at the popular SpongeBob SquarePants character, Squidward. Now, out of all of the villains in the Black Order, Ebony Maw is probably Thanos' biggest brown noser. If I were to describe the Ebony Maw character, I would say that he reminds me the most of like a Peter Pettigrew or Wormtail character from the Harry Potter series. I mean, just the way that he describes Thanos in the film and what he tells the dying Asgardians. He said, and I quote, "Hear me and rejoice. You have had the privilege of being saved by the great Titan. You may think this is suffering. No, it is salvation. The universe scales tip toward balance because of your sacrifice. Smile, for even in death, you have become children of Thanos." Now in the film, when Maw tries to get the Time Stone from Doctor Strange, while Tony and the rest of the other Avengers that are on Earth are kind of bantering, Iron Man tells him to go away, Squidward, Earth is closed. Now the next Easter egg is actually pretty subtle, so if you weren't paying attention to detail in the film, then you probably didn't catch this, but I personally did. Now before the Russo brothers decided to take on the juggernaut that is the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they worked in Emmy Award-winning TV shows like Arrested Development, Community, and Happy Endings. So this Easter egg is actually about Tobias from Arrested Development. Now he was almost a part of the Blue Man Group in the TV show, so it was fitting that Tobias was covered in blue and featured at the Collector's Collection on Nowhere. Now our next Easter egg comes straight out of Groot's hand in a video game called Defender. So in this movie, Groot is basically like a preteen who constantly wants to play his Game Boy. And the game that he's playing is a game called Defender from 1981. Now the official description of the game is your mission as captain of the Defender is to protect the humanoids stranded on the planet from their alien abductors. The scanner will help you determine a strategy to shoot down the alien ships before they reach the humanoids. If you destroy the aliens after they have captured their prey, you must return the humanoids to safety of the planet or they will fall to their death. If an alien carries a victim out of your range, the humanoid will mutate and join the alien force and take to assault with deadly vengeance. That sounds like a pretty familiar concept, wouldn't you say? Now, this Easter egg comes towards the end of the film when the Avengers come together in Wakanda to help protect Vision, while T'Challa's sister Shuri tries to remove the Mind Stone from Vision without killing him. And we know that plan didn't work out, but that was the reason that they arrived in Wakanda. Now, whenever the Avengers arrived in Wakanda, Steve Rogers got to reunite with his good friend, Bucky, who is now referred to as the White Wolf. The White Wolf in the comics was the name of a young white child whose family died in a plane crash in a country nearby Wakanda, and King T'Chaka took the boy Hunter in and raised him with T'Challa. Hunter grew up as the White Wolf, who was the head of the secret police, but T'Challa disbanded the secret police when he took over as king, and Hunter became a mercenary instead. Now we know that Bucky is going to take the role of the White Wolf in the films. So that's a pretty exciting new story arc for Bucky. Now we know that Infinity War is filled with movie references, as both Star-Lord and Spider-Man give out as many pop culture references as they could, and in this specific scene, Spider-Man's plan for defeating Ebony Maw actually comes from a really old movie, he says, called Aliens, and we know the way that Ripley defeated the alien in the first one was by basically getting the alien sucked into the vacuum of space by pressing a button, and they essentially did the exact same thing to Maw. This next one comes to one of the most moving scenes in the entire movie. Gamora is captured by Thanos, and earlier in the film, Gamora made Star-Lord promise that if she was ever captured by Thanos, then he would kill her. That way he wouldn't be able to force her to tell him where the Soul Stone was hidden, and Star-Lord agrees. So with Star-Lord's blaster pointed at Gamora, he finally gets the courage to pull the trigger, and he ultimately does, but is kind of distraught whenever his gun is not actually shooting lasers, it's shooting tiny bubbles. Now this was of course an homage of the popular video game that was released in 2000, Marvel vs. Capcom 2: A New Age of Heroes. In the game, every single one of Thanos' attack ends with little bubbles coming out of him, which is such a small detail, but it kind of stuck with some fans, and I'm glad that they were able to get it in the film some way. Now this next one is actually a callback to the very first Avengers movie, and that is whenever Loki and Tony Stark are up on top of Stark Tower, and Loki is talking about the current situation. Loki was humoring Tony in their negotiation because he figured that that was the only way to get close to Tony. When that fails, he mocks Tony about the predicament that the Avengers were in, noting that Loki has a whole entire alien army. And then Tony says, well, you can have an army, but we have a Hulk.
I have an army. We have a Hulk.
And then Hulk shows up and kind of beats the crap out of Loki. Now in the opening scene of this film, Loki is attempting to negotiate with Thanos when Loki too says, well, we have a Hulk as well. And then Hulk starts to try to beat up Thanos, but ultimately gets his butt kicked, which kind of turned Hulk into a scared little wimp throughout the entire film. Now, one of the best parts of the Infinity Gauntlet storyline in the comics is when the remaining superheroes get together and attack Thanos in an attempt to distract him so that the Silver Surfer could snatch the gauntlet from his hands while he had his guard down. Seeing all of the creative ways that he could take down his superhero counterparts was extremely memorable. Now, when the Guardians arrived on Nowhere to get the Reality Stone, not knowing that Thanos had already gotten the Reality Stone, he showed how truly powerful the stone actually is. Now, he used the stone on Mantis, turning her body into ribbons, and then Drax, turning his body into segmented stones. This was the exact same thing that Thanos did to Nebula and Star Fox in the comics. So in the movie Thor Ragnarok, we know that Thor lost his eye and Mjolnir to his sister. Now during this film, Thor starts to bring himself back to normal in an attempt to kill Thanos and save half the universe. He was able to get a new eye from Rocket Raccoon, but in order to replace his Mjolnir hammer, he had to travel to Nidavellir to get a weapon that was powerful enough to kill Thanos. Once he got to Nidavellir, he had to convince the blacksmith Eitri, played by Peter Dinklage, to forge one last weapon. The new weapon was a hammer and axe that is basically Mjolnir V2 called Stormbreaker, which is in reference to the hammer that Odin had forged for Beta Ray Bill in the comics. Throughout the entire film, Thanos talked about how important it was for him to succeed on his mission to bring balance to the universe by removing half of the people from it. He talks about how when he completes his mission, he will just retire and smile over all of the good that he has accomplished. Now, at the end of the film, that is exactly what he does, and also reflects on what it cost him, aka the loss of his daughter being the biggest sacrifice that he had to make. He looks like he was pretty much at peace, but you know, he's got a rude awakening coming for him, I think. Now, this particular moment was an exact reference to the Infinity Gauntlet comics. In Captain America Civil War, the Avengers as we used to know it was completely broken up, and it forced Captain America and the rest of the Avengers that were on his alliance to be on the run from the government. The Captain America in Infinity War doesn't have his famous shield, and stripped his uniform of all of his colors, which kind of falls in line with the Nomad character perfectly. After the Secret Empire storyline in the 70s, Steve Rogers learned that the Secret Empire had been able to turn the country against him. At the end of the story, Cap was able to prove his innocence and expose the existence of the Secret Empire. He also learned that the President of the United States was also involved in the Empire, and in fact, the President shot himself in front of Cap's face. This event made him give up the Captain America identity and took on the man without a country superhero and costume of Nomad. Now the next one, in the original Guardians of the Galaxy movie, Star-Lord talked all kinds of stuff about the greatest movie of all time being Footloose, and about how Kevin Bacon's character saved the day by having a big dance. And at the end of the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, he challenges Ronan to a dance-off.
Someday, put it together.
What are you doing?
Dance off, bro. Me and you.
Now, obviously, we know that it was meant as a distraction, but it's actually grown in the Guardians of the Galaxy, and the member Mantis tells about the legend of Kevin Bacon and thought that Kevin Bacon might have been an Avenger. Now, in the post-credit scenes, we see a helicopter crash because the pilot on board was a part of the rest of the universe that was killed off. It's interesting to see a helicopter that was featured at the end of the film because one of the most famous appearances by Thanos of all time is when he appeared in the Spider Super Stories TV series. The story shows Thanos fighting Spider-Man in a helicopter with his name on it. Now, this could obviously be a complete coincidence, but it could be an homage to the famous Thanos copter. Now, last but not least, we have the biggest Easter egg by far in the film that is also showcased after the credits. When Nick Fury got out of his vehicle to a city that is in frenzy, he reaches for what we can only imagine is a cosmic pager and then sent out a distress signal as Fury faded into the wind with the rest of the non-existent universe. When the pager falls down on the ground and the distress signal gets sent, we see the logo of one of the biggest characters in the Marvel universe, also known as Captain Marvel, who's being played by Brie Larson, and it's the very first Marvel Cinematic Universe solo film that's headlined by a woman. And that wraps it up with 15 Easter eggs you most likely missed in Marvel's Infinity War. If you guys enjoyed this video, do us a favor, click like, subscribe to the channel, turn your post notifications on. Let us know down below which one on this list was your favorite. Now, obviously, we didn't add every single Easter egg in the film. We could probably do a separate video of every single Easter egg, but you'll have to let us know in the comment section below. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. This has been Wes, and I'll talk to you guys next time in the multiverse.